The late afternoon sun of September 1943 cast long, anxious shadows across a freshly harvested field in rural Belgium. A special Luftwaffe recovery crew, their faces smudged with dirt and grim determination, worked with a feverish intensity that belied the peaceful setting. Their prize, a sight that made even the most hardened veterans gasp, lay before them. An American P-47 Thunderbolt, remarkably intact, its massive radial engine still bolted firmly to the airframe. This wasn't just another downed enemy aircraft. This was a godsend, an intelligence coup of the highest order. The pilot, fortunate enough to have successfully bailed out after sustaining flak damage, had left behind a nearly perfect specimen. The powerful fighter had belly-landed in soft soil, cushioning its impact and preserving its secrets for German eyes. For months, the P-47 had been a phantom menace, a steel-plated nightmare for the Luftwaffe. Since its dramatic appearance over Germany in early 1943, it had irrevocably shifted the brutal calculus of aerial warfare. German pilots, once confident in their swift, surgical strikes against unescorted American bomber formations, now found themselves embroiled in desperate, often losing, dogfights against swarms of these colossal fighters. The Jug, as American pilots affectionately called it, seemed nigh indestructible, capable of absorbing a truly staggering amount of punishment and still flying. It could plunge into a dive faster than any interceptor the Luftwaffe possessed, and its performance at high altitudes, where German fighters often struggled, appeared limitless. German engineers, brilliant though they were utterly perplexed. How could such a behemoth, weighing over 7 tons fully loaded, defy conventional aerodynamic wisdom and dominate the skies? The capture of an intact P-47, especially one with its engine largely undamaged, was not merely important. It was a matter of urgent national security. The recovery team toiled through the night, their headlamps cutting through the encroaching darkness. With meticulous care, they began the painstaking process of dismantling the wings and fuselage, carefully loading each section onto a convoy of waiting trucks. By the first blush of dawn, the P-47 was gone, whisked away to Rechlin, the Luftwaffe's clandestine primary testing facility north of Berlin. This was Germany's technological sanctum, where captured Allied aircraft were subjected to intense scrutiny, and where the brightest engineers and most skilled test pilots of the Luftwaffe dissected enemy innovations. Among these, elite was Oberingenieur Klaus Weber, a man whose lifeblood was aircraft engine design. Since the 1920s, Weber had been at the forefront of German aviation, instrumental in developing some of Germany's most potent power plants, including the famed Daimler-Benz DB601 that propelled the iconic Messerschmitt Bf109 and the formidable BMW 801 that breathed life into the Focke-Wulf FW190. When the captured P-47 arrived at Rechlin, Weber was the natural choice to lead the engine analysis team. He handpicked his most capable engineers, and together they approached the formidable American fighter with a potent mix of professional curiosity and deeply ingrained national pride. Whatever technological marvel the Americans had wrought, German ingenuity and engineering prowess would surely match, if not surpass, it. The P-47's engine was a Pratt Whitney R-2800 double wasp. Even before they began the intricate process of disassembly, its sheer physical presence was awe-inspiring. 18 massive cylinders, arranged in 2 rows, each cylinder a testament to raw power. The engine alone tipped the scales at over 2,000 pounds. German radial engines, by contrast, were generally smaller, more compact, designed for efficiency within a different philosophical framework. The BMW 801, a paragon of German engineering, displaced 41.8 liters. This American monster, however, displaced a staggering 45.9 liters and was rated at an astonishing 2,000 horsepower, with even more available under war emergency power. The BMW 801, for all its brilliance, peaked at 1,700 horsepower. Weber's team commenced their systematic disassembly. Every component was meticulously photographed, every dimension precisely measured, every alloy analyzed. And as their work progressed, a subtle shift began to occur. Their initial confidence, rooted in a belief in German engineering supremacy, slowly began to erode, replaced by a growing unease. The first profound shock came with the examination of the supercharger. The R-2800 employed a sophisticated two-stage supercharger system, complete with an intercooler. While the concept of multi-stage supercharging wasn't entirely novel to the Germans, they understood the principles perfectly. Its execution in the R-2800 was nothing short of extraordinary. The supercharger was a marvel of mechanical complexity, featuring multiple gear ratios and automatic controls that seamlessly optimized performance across a vast range of altitudes. The integrated intercooler, a crucial innovation, dramatically reduced the temperature of the compressed air before it entered the cylinders, thereby permitting significantly higher boost pressures without the risk of engine-damaging detonation. German engines, in stark contrast, still relied on single-stage superchargers. They had indeed experimented with two-stage designs, but had abandoned them, deeming them too complex, too heavy, and ultimately, too unreliable for mass production and combat conditions. Yet, here it was, an American engine boasting a highly effective two-stage system, mass-produced by the thousands, and robust enough to endure the brutal crucible of aerial combat. Weber meticulously documented his findings. Replicating such a system, he knew, would demand extensive and time-consuming development work, resources Germany simply could not spare. The second shock materialized when they delved into the engine's internal components. The connecting rods, the very sinews of the engine, were forged from a steel alloy that struck a perfect balance between incredible strength and remarkable lightness. The pistons featured intricate cooling galleries, a testament to advanced thermal management. Even the valves, often a weak point in high-performance engines, were crafted from heat-resistant alloys capable of withstanding temperatures that would swiftly degrade and destroy standard German valve materials. Every single component, down to the smallest bolt, was a testament to advanced metallurgy and precision manufacturing on a scale that frankly stunned the German engineers. Weber's team, their initial arrogance now completely evaporated, began running calculations. To duplicate this engine, Germany would not only need new designs, but entirely new alloys. Many of these alloys, they realized with a sinking feeling, required strategic materials, chromium, nickel, molybdenum, materials to which Germany had severely limited access due to the increasingly effective Allied blockade. The Americans, it appeared, were using these vital resources with lavish abandon, while Germany was forced to ration every ounce. But the real shock, the moment that a cold dread truly settled in Weber's stomach, came when they scrutinized the manufacturing tolerances. The cylinders were machined to a degree of precision that German mass production facilities simply could not consistently achieve. The crankshaft, a critical component for engine smoothness and longevity, was balanced to an astonishing degree, a feat that would necessitate extensive, time-consuming hand-fitting in any German factory. Every major component, without exception, bore the unmistakable hallmark of manufacturing capabilities that were utterly beyond what German industry could replicate in mass production, especially under the relentless pressure of wartime. This wasn't just an engine, it was a profound statement about industrial might. The Americans were not merely building these engines, they were constructing them by the thousands. Each one machined to incredibly tight tolerances, each one incorporating sophisticated alloys and complex systems, and they were then installing these marvels into a fighter aircraft that, by late 1943, they were producing at a staggering rate of over 1,000 per month. Weber convened an urgent meeting of his analysis team. They gathered in a small, stark conference room at Rechlin, the weight of their discoveries heavy in the air. He went around the table, asking each engineer for their candid assessment. Could Germany, under any circumstances, build an equivalent engine? The answers were uniformly grim, steeped in a deep-seated pessimism. Yes, Germany could probably design an equivalent engine, given enough time, perhaps 2 years of intensive development. But that assumption hinged on unlimited resources, which Germany, facing a total war, simply did not possess. And even if they somehow managed to develop a design, mass-producing it was an entirely different, insurmountable challenge. The manufacturing precision required was far beyond the capabilities of most German engine factories, especially now, with Allied bombing raids beginning to severely disrupt production lines and supply chains. One of Weber's junior engineers, a bright but somber young man named Friedrich, posed a more fundamental, chilling question. Even if Germany could somehow match the R-2800's design in theory, could they possibly match American production rates? According to the latest intelligence reports, Pratt Whitney was producing over 2,000 R-2800 engines per month. Germany's entire aircraft engine production, encompassing all types for all aircraft, was barely 3,000 engines per month, and that was achieved only through maximum unsustainable effort. The room fell into a stunned, suffocating silence. This was the calculation that fundamentally altered everything. It wasn't just that the Americans had built a superior engine, it was that they could build thousands of them, consistently and reliably. The industrial implications were truly staggering, a cold, hard truth that threatened to shatter the very foundations of German military planning. Weber meticulously crafted his report. He detailed the R-2800's precise technical specifications, highlighting its sophisticated design and the advanced materials used in its construction. He provided a sober estimate of what would be required to develop a German equivalent. And then, in a section he knew would be highly controversial, he addressed the larger, far more dire implications. Germany, he wrote, was locked in an industrial war against an opponent possessing a vastly superior industrial capacity. The R-2800 engine was irrefutable evidence of manufacturing capabilities that Germany, despite its undeniable engineering brilliance, simply could not match. While German engineers consistently designed brilliant weapons, often superior to Allied designs in pure performance, Germany lacked the industrial muscle to produce them in sufficient quantities. The Americans, by contrast, could produce good enough weapons, but in overwhelming, inexhaustible numbers. The report ascended the chain of command, eventually reaching General Feldmarschall Erhard Milch, the powerful head of the Luftwaffe's aircraft production. Milch, a man of formidable intellect and iron will, read the report carefully, his expression grim. He immediately summoned Weber to Berlin for a personal, highly confidential briefing. The meeting was tense, fraught with unspoken anxieties. Milch, his gaze piercing, demanded to know if Weber was absolutely certain of his conclusions. Could Germany truly not match this engine? Weber, standing ramrod straight, reiterated his analysis. Germany could match the design, eventually, with immense effort and time. But matching American production capacity, given current resources, and the escalating war, was simply impossible. The United States, he explained, had unfettered access to unlimited raw materials, a massive and highly skilled workforce, and industrial facilities that remained untouched by the devastating rain of Allied bombs. Germany, conversely, was fighting on multiple, draining fronts, suffering under relentless Allied bombing and grappling with chronic, debilitating shortages of every conceivable strategic material. Milch dismissed Weber, but not before the engineer caught a glimpse of the calculation happening behind the General Feldmarshal's eyes, the same terrifying calculation that had haunted Weber for weeks. If the Americans could produce engines of this caliber in such staggering quantities, what else could they produce? How many aircraft? How many tanks? How many ships? The implications were catastrophic. The captured P-47 was eventually test-flown by seasoned Luftwaffe pilots at Rechlin. Their reports, echoing the grim assessments of the engineers, confirmed the American fighter's exceptional capabilities. It was fast, incredibly rugged, and immensely powerful. German pilots noted, with a mixture of awe and trepidation, that in a dive, nothing in their arsenal could catch it. At high altitudes, it maintained its power output far more effectively than German fighters, and it possessed an uncanny ability to absorb battle damage that would instantly destroy a Bf-109 or an Fw-190. One particularly insightful test pilot, the legendary Oberstleutnant Heinz Pritzel Beer, an ace with over 200 victories, penned a stark and prescient observation in his official report. This aircraft represents a philosophy of design we cannot match. The Americans have built a fighter that does not rely on lightweight construction or intricate maneuverability. They have built a fighter